Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'ti.
Good evening, Source Nation. Welcome back. I am your host and relationship advocate, Tem'ti Sahu, and I want to welcome you back to the second half of Renaissance Relationship Therapy, the show that gives you the relationship view you never knew, and it's a view that has the power to change everything. So we're just about getting ready to introduce tonight's special guest, Coach Dee Simone, and we are going to be having a conversation about the most toxic beliefs about love that are keeping you single. And just like we covered in the first hour, they're talking about a lot about limiting beliefs and how they hold you back from doing the things you want. Most people have a lot of limiting beliefs that affect their career, health, and current relationships negatively. But when it comes to being single and looking for love, that's a whole nother level of negativity that negative belief systems, will affect you on. Because our relationships affect every area of our lives, it's important to get rid of the limiting beliefs that hold us back from finding the perfect person or having a great relationship. Now, if you're single and you want to find real love, the kind that makes you happy for the rest of your life, then you need to delete, discard, and replace any and all of the following beliefs that we will be bringing up right now with Coach Dee Simone. And she's just not a dating and life coach extraordinaire. She's also a speaker, an attorney, a certified mediator with a degree in sociology, and author of her new book, Picking Up the Pieces, which is a transformative book about self-love that helps women attract the love of their lives. So transformative equals action, okay? And that's the necessary learning and growing and tackling of negative belief systems about yourself that you need to do. So all about action, all about transformation, and helping us to do that right now. Source Nation, may I welcome Coach Dee Simone. Welcome to the show, Coach. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. How are you, Tim?
I am doing okay. Again, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's something that we've been working on for a few weeks now, and we're glad you could give us like 5 minutes of your precious time. So, yes, definitely very happy to have you here. And I did speak, I touched on the book and your background a little, but tell the viewers, those who may not be familiar with you, tell us about Coach Dee Simone, who she is, what she does, and what drives her to do the wonderful things that she manifests.
Well, thank you for that. I am an attorney by trade, but I became a dating and life coach, speaker, and author of the book, Picking Up the Pieces, Rebuilding Yourself for the Love and Relationship You Deserve. I ultimately wanted to write this book because I was talking to so many women about dating and relationships, and I felt like there were these reoccurring themes and patterns, and I almost felt like I was a broken record at times when I was giving advice. So I thought, I want to write a book. I want my advice to reach as many women as possible, and I really want to be able to positively impact as many women as I can. So, writing this book just felt like the next thing I needed to do.
Right, absolutely. And what are some of the responses to the book so far? How have people received it?
I have gotten amazing feedback from the book so far. I've really been overwhelmed by it. I initially, had an idea in my head of what women this book would work for, and while I thought, okay, maybe it'll be like women like maybe 24, 25 to maybe, 38, I have come to see from other people's feedback that, like, this book is actually great for women of all ages. I know women that are in their 50s and 60s that have read this book and have said, literally, my life would have been so different if I had had this book when I was younger. And so even though some of them, divorced, they felt like, they got so much perspective on their past marriage and why it didn't work and their own patterns and the type of men they dated and married. So it really just blew me away that the book was helpful for much older women as well. And I actually got feedback from 2 men that have said that the book even helped them, and I was surprised by that. One of them said that they actually tried to do the exercises that are in my book. Of course, they twisted it around to be for men instead of women, but
right.
said that he actually got perspective on why his last marriage didn't work and why his ex-wife had a lot of jealousy issues and some of his own insecurities. And I was like, oh my goodness, I literally didn't think that this book would be beneficial for men at all, outside of giving them perspective or insight into the woman's mind. But I was just so joyed to learn that men can actually benefit themselves, internally from reading this book too. So I really do recommend this book now, not only for women of all ages, but for men too that want a little more insight into their own, habits and things that have happened in their dating life and relationships. So yes, my book, it is on Amazon. It's on BarnesandNobles.com. I have the Kindle version, Nook book, and you can go on Smashword where you can basically get my book in almost any e-reader form.
Excellent.
So that's Picking Up the Pieces, Rebuilding Yourself for the Love and Relationship You Deserve.
Excellent. Look at that. I mean, I was still going to say, write a book for the fellas now. Don't forget about us. But, it seems like you've already done it.
I guess I have. But I'm thinking about that, though. I might have to put something in the pipeline for the fellas.
Right. Well, so of course, a book like that, I guess, looking back at your life, looking at past behavior patterns, understanding past motives. I'm sure you touched a lot on belief systems in there and things that we set ourselves up to believe that really just, no longer serve us. And, of course, this is the what we're talking about today. And when we are talking about the most toxic beliefs about love that are keeping you single, I actually wrote a list of them. And some may pertain more to guys, some may pertain more to women. But I really wanted to get your perspective on this. And the first one is, and this is mostly for guys, and again, remember, these are belief systems that are keeping folks single. And the first one is, she's got to be a good girl, i.e., she's got to cook, clean, and never speak to other guys. Or the reverse, where he's got to be a nice guy. He's got to always buy gifts, always buy flowers, always buy me drinks, and always buy dinner. Tell us about when you have that belief that kind of person exists, and there's nothing else, that they must be like this. How can that keep you single?
Oh, that's a really good one. When you are holding steadfast to certain things you need in a person that don't actually serve you. From the male perspective, I mean, when you think about a man that wants a woman that's going to, she has to cook for him, she has to clean for him, those are qualities that don't actually speak to whether a woman is a good woman. And you could find a lot of women out there that can cook and clean and not have a problem with that, but is she going to give you emotional satisfaction in the relationship? Are you really going to be happy with who she is as a person? Because a woman is more than just cooking and cleaning. It's kind of absurd to think that, we're all kind of the same, and as long as we cook and clean, we're perfect for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it goes both ways too on the female side, and I see this with a lot of women. I actually talk about this in my book, and basically believing your laundry list will help you find love. Now, the laundry list is that list of things that people want in a partner. So with women, I often see them have these laundry lists that consist of superficial things that really don't speak to whether a man is a good person or is right for them. And much of these lists are actually unreasonable. So, yeah, women do the same thing in that they're looking for these qualities in a partner, but it's not actually speaking to whether they're a good man. For example, a lot of women will put on their laundry list or say, I have to date a wealthy man or a rich man or someone who makes at least $100,000 a year. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Wealth is not an indicator of whether a man is a good person to date. Wealth tells you nothing but, this person is very driven, but does that mean it's going to be great in a relationship with you? And what I've seen is that many women actually don't like the reality of dating rich men because they don't have as much time to devote to the relationship. Building and maintaining wealth requires a lot of time. So this isn't the kind of man that can just, be booed up every single evening and all night and all day during the weekends. And for some women, they need more quality time from their partner to have more emotional satisfaction from the relationship. So here they are looking for some quality, like being rich on their crazy laundry list, and it's actually not producing the kind of relationship that they really want or really need. So I really think that's a really good issue, or not good issue. I shouldn't say that, but it's a pretty big issue that holds back both women and men. I advise women to really take a look at their laundry list and basically just revamp the whole thing. I have a chapter in my book that helps women essentially build a list that actually I like to think of it more as like a roadmap to finding the right man for who they actually are and for the emotional needs that they have in a relationship. And so this is really great for women who are either too picky or not picky enough and have absolutely no standards or boundaries, because it makes sure that you're focusing on the right qualities and the right things when you're dating, and then you don't have to worry about, am I being over the top or too picky, or, am I just letting anyone through the door? So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and these are powerful belief systems, properly rigid and locked in people's minds about, it's a good girl, never speaks to other guys, always has dinner ready at 5, or the dude is going to be this guy that always is going to be available and buy you drinks and food and gifts every day. Where do these belief systems come from?
That's a great question. I think I don't think there's like a one single answer to that. I think it's probably multiple factors. Of course, some of these beliefs come from the media, and movies and what they show on TV and what what society thinks you should be looking for. And then you also get some of these beliefs from your parents and your family, and not only what you witness in their relationships, but also the stuff that they say and get ingrained in your mind. I know, my sisters are 6 and 8 years older than me, so they were in the dating world long before, I even knew anything about dating. And as a kid, I just remember, when my sisters would be, getting together with their other girlfriends and whoever, it's like I would always hear this, these one or two phrases all the time. And it was, all men are dogs. All men cheat. And, so it's something I heard from a young age. And, that's a belief system that will definitely either keep you single or land you in bad relationships, because it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You'll only date cheaters or bad men because you don't believe the opposite exists. So you won't put as much effort into attracting better men, and you'll settle for whatever garbage comes your way. So, that's an easy way that you can, pick up a flawed belief system that will hurt you ultimately.
That is such a powerful point you just made, because now when I think about it, I got my sisters who are like, a couple of years older than me, and when they started dating, I remember the stories about how, I used to hear them talking about, he was an idiot. I told him to kick rocks, and that frightened me to death. I'm not trying to step into the lion's cage and get ripped apart like this. And that affected me. That absolutely affected me and created a fear in me that, that a lot of these women will tear you apart,
Right.
Yeah. It's incredible with how you pick up this stuff and you don't even realize. But wow. Okay. Maybe you should just stop the show. You should just psychoanalyze me now. It's like, wow. But here's another one, right? Here's another belief system. The right person will intuitively get me and know how to love me.
Oh, yeah, that's a horrible one, because that assumes, too, that, we're all just natural mind readers, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. One of the most important things that you need to have a healthy, loving, thriving relationship is communication. And that whole idea that, like, someone's just going to get me. They're just going to know intuitively what I'm thinking at any given moment, how I feel, or, what my perspective is on any situation. And that's what causes problems in relationships, when you have all these assumptions or you think that someone's getting you when really they're not getting you at all. So that's a horrible belief system, and it actually keeps you from communicating your emotions at any given time, because you feel like, well, they should just know. And so you have to get to a place where you learn how to constantly communicate and be open. And then that's truthfully how someone can, in time, start to intuitively know what you're feeling at any given moment. You have these girls sometimes that have been like best friends since middle school, and they can just like give each other a look, and they know immediately what each other is thinking, or like, you get a look and it's like, yeah, okay, meet me in the bathroom. Like, we need to talk. Like, guess what? Like, that didn't just develop overnight, though. You guys had this bond, and you go through all these experiences and situations together, and you talk and you communicate how you feel about things, so that eventually over time you get to that point where, like, you intuitively just know what each other's feeling, and you can pretty much almost guess at any given time what your friend is thinking. And so women could easily just falsely apply this notion to relationships. Like, someone should just get me. Like, my girls get me. They just get me. I don't have to explain anything to them. Like, I could just tell them what happened in the situation, and they already know how I feel about it. But that was something that was cultivated over time. And so you have to do that in relationships, too. You have to cultivate, that kind of intuition that will come, and that's done through communication, especially when you're dealing with different, situations and experiences.
The bottom line is, you're just going to basically be very upset or disappointed with relationships that don't have this, when you're expecting someone to understand you and they don't.
Yeah. It's kind of like these unexpressed expectations. In addition to feeling like your partner should intuitively know how you feel, you might think that your partner should know that you want it to be called this many times a week, or you want to speak every day. You might actually have to have a conversation about that, like, when you start to feel like you're not being fulfilled in your relationship, and that's because your partner doesn't even know what you want or what they can do to fulfill those needs, it becomes a problem. So it's not even just like feeling like your partner should know what you're thinking, but you have to inform your partner of what you want and what you need.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, here's another toxic belief that can keep people very single. My significant other never looks at anybody else. They only have eyes for me, and they will never find anyone else attractive.
Oh, goodness.
Okay,
well, that's a good flawed belief, because, a lot of people actually, it is funny, to us, we're a little more evolved, but can you repeat the question for me?
My significant other will never find anyone else attractive. They don't look at anyone else. They only have eyes for me.
Okay. So when you enter a relationship, you get married, you don't become dead to the world. It's natural for us human beings to still have an appreciation for beauty. And it's not to say that your partner can't recognize that someone else is attractive without stepping out of that relationship or cheating on you, for example. I think there's a difference between being able to just recognize someone else's beauty and kind of just having crazy eyes for, the opposite sex. If you're having dinner with your partner and they're like staring someone else down, that's a problem. But if you have an issue with someone just taking a glance at someone else, I mean, it really is unrealistic. And for a woman that feels like her partner shouldn't have eyes for anyone else or think that anyone else is attractive, I mean, is that the case for you? If do you no longer think like Boris Cujo is attractive? Is that someone you thought was attractive before your partner? Is Brad Pitt an ugly man now to you? Now that you are in a relationship?
Right.
No.
Right.
And you're still gonna have your kind of fantasy crush in a sense. You're still gonna be able to appreciate other men's beauty. Does that mean that you're going to now go sleep with the next man you meet that looks like Shamar Moore or something, or or if you believe that you are going to sleep with him? No, you can appreciate other people's beauty without actually stepping out of the relationship, and that's true respect. And I think when you try to kind of put someone in a position where like they cannot even move their eyes in any other direction but towards you, that's very uncomfortable and it's very restricting. And then, it just makes someone not feel relaxed and comfortable around you. And a relationship should be a safe place where you can always feel comfortable and you're like yourself around them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if that was somebody's ideal of a guy or a girl that they only just look at you, you would be freaked out. You'd be weirded out by that. It is so unnatural. But it's one of these things that some people actually think should happen, and it's nuts. But here's another good toxic belief. When we get married, it will get better. Tell us about that, Coach Simone.
Now it's so common too. A lot of people think that marriage is just the ultimate quick fix. If you just slap a ring on it, slap a marriage certificate on it, all your problems go away. And it actually has the opposite effect. Marriage will exacerbate any problems that you have because now you're really two people under one roof together, and it's going to amplify the problems that you have. So while marriage, seems like a good fix, it's really just a temporary cover-up, and it gives you something else to think about and something else to do that takes your mind away from that. But the problem will get worse as time goes on. And I've seen, like, some women want to correct infidelity, habitual repetitive infidelity with a ring because they think that, marriage and that heightened level of commitment will, elicit the behavior that they want from their boyfriend, which is actual loyalty and fidelity. And that's not the case. In fact, for, the women that have experienced like habitual infidelity before marriage, usually that infidelity, while it may there may be a little hiatus in the beginning during your honeymoon phase, it actually comes back worse than ever,
Right.
And a part of that is because, your partner now knows, too, that that's not a behavior you're going to leave them for. And so they might have, a couple of weeks of attitude and whatever, but they know that y'all will get past that and you'll just go back to, continuing the relationship. So it definitely gives men, too, this false sense. Well, not even a false sense. It gives men a correct impression that, they can continue to do what they've been doing in their relationship, and that's not going to end the marriage.
Right. That's a good point. That's a great point. And kind of riffing off that, we have another toxic belief. You should do this for me because, or it's me talking to my friends and saying, well, you know what? my last girl, she did this, she did that, so this one, she needs to do that because all the other ones hurt me. Believing that the person you're with now should in some kind of way pay for or make up for your ex's mistakes.
Oh, that's a really good one. That is very common. I actually call that emotional baggage. It's all the luggage that you're bringing into the next situation because of everything your ex did, and it's really unfair. I really feel bad for the men and women that end up having to deal with this emotional baggage because they come into the situation really just trying to get to know you and enjoy you, and so, they're showing you genuine interest, and here you are being very negative and maybe not accepting compliments, and you make them pay for what someone else has done, and then they might resent you for that, or they might even feel bad and say, yeah, I know these guys really hurt you in the past. I'm going to do my best to prove you wrong. So they have to go above and beyond to do even more to show you that I'm not that person. But usually it doesn't work because that baggage is so deeply ingrained that, really there's nothing that person can do to fix that. You need to really let go of that luggage in order to be able to be present and enjoy that relationship. So, you have then a partner that's essentially an overdrive for the entire relationship, having to constantly give you validation, confirm their love, make sure that no, I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm not looking at anyone else. And exactly, you will ultimately get burnt out because you can only do that for so long, and the person who's giving that much isn't actually really getting anything in return because the relationship is one-sided. They're spending the whole time trying to make one person feel great, and they experience emotional neglect. So, yeah, you have a lot of these relationships, but it always breaks down at some point because, like you said, a person will get burnt out. You can only give, extremely for so long and not get enough back in return before, you just have to leave that situation for your own emotional well-being.
So again, as a belief system, how does that develop where you feel someone else needs to pay for this person's mistakes? Is it because you had a lack of closure with your ex that now you kind of bring that open wound to somebody new, or is it something else that
I think it's kind of like, I think a bit of it is probably a lack of reflection. Instead of looking back on the relationship and trying to see ways that they could have spotted that this person may not have been right for them, they just kind of neglect that introspection and then just jump into the next relationship. So I think if you stop and reflect and see what lessons you could learn from the last relationship and process, like, okay, I don't need this, he has this behavior or this problem, and that's not something that I can deal with and feel emotionally satisfied or like I'm in a healthy relationship. So whenever I see, a sign of that, again, I'm not going to pursue it. But when you don't have these kinds of, reflections and thoughts, it's easy to just jump into the next thing with the next guy, and you're kind of like, you're just dealing with that residual stuff that you never process. So it has to come out through, this guy over-proving himself, the new guy.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, now, this next belief system, it's not necessarily toxic. It really depends on the situation. Because in the wrong situation, it can be extremely toxic. But having any kind of or believing that having sexual expectations, i.e. somebody telling you what they want sexually, is shallow or unreasonable.
Well, I guess I would say it depends on when that request is coming.
Right.
You just started dating. Yeah, I think that is kind of unreasonable. But if you're in an exclusive relationship, I think if there is some lack of sexual satisfaction, you need to communicate about that. There has to be communication about, what is going to help you be more satisfied and how you can, increase your partner's satisfaction as well. So I think it's actually something that is healthy to talk about once you're in an exclusive relationship in that kind of safe space. But if you just met someone and you're like, hey, I need a girl that's going to do this and that, or I need a man that's going to do this and that, like, that's kind of
what's your last name again? I didn't catch that.
Exactly.
Wait, so okay, but that belief system about sex being, wow, this is too much or whatever. And I mean, like you said, yes, when you're in a relationship, but there still seems to be a lot of folks that will still carry that into a committed relationship based upon, I guess, upbringing and attitudes towards sex, attitudes towards even talking about it. They may have sex, but just to talk about it in any kind of explicit way. How much of an issue is it that there are folks who are sexually hung up and still almost have like a childlike approach to the idea of talking about it in an open way?
Yeah, it is a problem, and I do see that in a lot of communities. People are raised and their parents never talk to them about sex, and so it feels like there's a stigma around talking about sex. It's something you'll probably maybe talk about with just your close friends, but that kind of like stigma and being open and talking about sex definitely trickles into your relationships, where you kind of carry that notion into it that this isn't something we should talk about, or he should just intuitively know.
Right, here we go.
in the bedroom, right? That
intuition. Yes. So, it is incredible, and like you said, a lot of folks can feel very put out because they're trying to bring a sexual discussion. And it can just feel like, we shouldn't be talking about this. And like you said, it is dependent on a lot of people based on their upbringing. And, being, of course, here in the South, there's a lot of religious folks. And, it's a very interesting paradigm. But here's another one. Here's another one that always comes up in relationships, right? And we are all guilty of this one. Whenever we're having an argument or a disagreement, contesting some kind of point, and we get to the point in the discussion where, or should I say argument, where we start using words like, you know what, you always this, and every single time, and you never. And I'm like, when you calm down, you realize, you know what, nobody always does everything, or every single time, or never,
Yeah.
And I wanted to put that one on the list because I just felt that, that in itself could be so inflammatory when somebody that you share a bed with them, you've been through X amount, and just because of an argument now, they are always this and never this. And I'm like, I thought that was such an unreasonable belief system, but it seems to be one that we just kind of fall into. When
And you're right. It's not only inflammatory that it'll make the other person upset, but it also takes away from the contributions that they've made and the things that they have done, and you minimize what they have done. And even if it's, you feel like they should know intuitively that you didn't really mean every time or never or always, it is a problem because it's going to make someone feel bad because they remember the times that they've done X, Y, or Z. And so when you take that away and make it seem like there's been no contribution or no help in that area, it really does make them feel bad. And in turn, it can make them feel like, well, they don't even want to continue trying or doing things in that area anymore at all because it's not even being recognized. You do it, but, you're going to get it thrown in your face that you never do it anyway. So doing that can actually have the opposite effect of what you want, someone actually pulling back even more and feeling like, okay, well, since you feel like I never do it, then I'm really never going to do it now.
Right. That's the response right there. Oh, Lord. Okay, so we got these gross overgeneralizations. Another one I wanted to speak about was, the whole all men are this, all women are that. You hear it every time when there's a discussion on relationships. People say all men. I'm like, wait, did you meet all men? How many there are? Did you speak to every single one of them? But, you hear that a lot, and surely if you carry that around, that has got to be very toxic, because basically you stop giving good people a chance, So tell us about that belief that all men are X and all women are Y.
Well, yeah, it's really not fair to categorize an entire gender into, one box. And just like women, I mean, most women would feel some kind of way if you said all women are exactly this, because there are variations. And like I said before, when you have ideas like all men are dogs and all men cheat, you're actually not going to open yourself up to a man that's different from that. You're actually going to attract more of that, attract more dogs, attract more cheaters. And that's because, at some point you've internalized that, this is just the way it is with men, so I just need to get on board and deal with it. And so, you will deal with it, and then that will actually validate your initial your belief that all men cheat and all men are dogs. So then you use that validation to continue the cycle. So this one, it really does hurt women. It might, and this one is one that it'll land you in bad relationships with dogs, or it'll keep you single. And on the keeping you single side, that's usually because, women go through all of this heartache and drama with men that treat them badly and cheat on them and do these horrible things. And so instead of ending up in a relationship with another bad man like that, they feel like, well, I have to have my guard up and walls up so that I never get hurt again, so that I don't get burned by men ever again. And unfortunately, women will also keep love out of their life this way, because to fall in love, to have love come in your life, you have to be open and vulnerable. So by putting all these walls up and guards up to prevent yourself from getting hurt, you really just keep yourself from ever really getting the relationship you want, and that's how you can stay single for a lifetime.
Okay, that you make some real good points. This next point, it really kind of dovetails into, what you've just said, that people, they have their guard up and everything and get to the point where they feel they don't need anyone. And they actually believe that. A guy will believe, I can cook, I can clean, I can wash my own clothes, I don't need no woman. Or a woman will say, well, look, I pay my own bills, I own my own house, I don't need no guy. And and I understand that on certain levels, at least definitely on a physical maintenance level, they may not need anyone. But when you say things like, well, I don't need love in my life, or I don't need a woman or a guy, I don't need love, people will believe that, or at least put it out there and find themselves very single. But how true is that? When people actually say those kind of statements, do they really mean them?
It is true. It does happen, but really this is a defense mechanism. It's not true in the sense that, yes, they really don't need anyone at all. I mean, we all need companionship. That's just an aspect of human beings. We actually thrive with companionship. So to say, like, I don't need a man you don't need one to survive and exist, but like we do need companionship. But so I think that when you hear people say these things, it's really more of like a defense mechanism. It is like having a guard or a wall up. Like, I don't need a man, so I don't need to deal with this. I don't want, it's really saying I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to deal with hurt and pain again. I don't need that. That's what that really means.
Do you think when they're saying this that we're calling it a belief system, and that's, of course, if we're on the outside, we're hearing them saying this, we're going to be like, okay, that's how they really think. But when these individuals are saying this stuff, how much of it are they aware of that, I actually really do mean this, or like, man, I just wish I just could find the right person. I just can't, so I just given up. What is it? What's really going on?
Yeah, usually they're very much so unaware that it's really a defensive move, and that it's not true. And it usually takes like some kind of event for them to have that like aha moment, like, wait, maybe this isn't what I really believe. Maybe this isn't how I really feel. Like you might end up, seeing your friend have a baby, and you're like, oh, I want that. I do want that in my life. I do want to get married, and I do want to have kids. Or you go to a wedding and you see that, union, and you're like, oh, I want this in my life. And that, it's kind of those kinds of events and those moments that kind of help these people come to the realization that, wait, I've been saying, like, I don't need a man and I don't need a relationship. I'm fine. I'm an independent woman, but I want this. I actually do want this, and I don't want to believe that anymore. So unfortunately, some people don't get to that point. That's just a reality. But a lot of women do, come back to the light and come back to reality and realize, okay, I've been on some crazy stuff lately, but I am refocused in knowing what I really do want again.
Right. Excellent. All right. Here's I think this is the final one, because there were quite a few to pick from. And this is kind of like the intuitive one, and this is one actually that a lot of people will turn around and say, nah, I don't believe that, but deep down, you kinda, because if you didn't believe it, you'd be more prepared. And the belief is that the relationship will either will stay brand new, or at least it will stay this way. It will stay like this. Like how me and her get on, or me and him get on right now, we are always going to be like this. And people will believe that. Tell us about the problem with believing that.
Well, ultimately, it leads to a lack of satisfaction in your relationship. I do know exactly what you're talking about. Some people think that your entire relationship is like the honeymoon phase. Like, they don't realize that, like, that initial, like, just, heightened everything, heightened excitement,
right.
Like, that will fade. Like, that is, like, new excitement. And so a lot of people think, like, oh, it should be like this the whole time. Like, I should feel this level of excitement to hang out with him every time I see him. But then, like, a year and a half later, you're like, do I want to come over? Well, I could just stay home and watch Housewives, and you're like, oh, well, this relationship must not be right because, I don't want to spend every single second of the night. I'm actually cool with doing my own thing, and that's just not realistic. So really it leads to you ending possibly very viable, great relationships just because you think that something is wrong because you've ran out of gas on that honeymoon phase, and now it's the reality of, like, this is a relationship. It's not always fun times, and it takes work and communication and things that you might not always want to do every day.
So and I just want to hear a little bit more about that, because a lot of folks have got to that point where you feel that you don't love that person because the excitement has gone. But like you said, that excitement is not the love. That excitement is just that. It's hormones, and I guess at some point you've got to be able to decipher what you actually feel for this person from a love and an affectionate point of view versus the hormones and excitement. How do you realistically get to do that? And the reason why I'm asking is because, again, a lot of folks, they will say, yeah, of course I know there's a honeymoon phase. Yeah, I know, but it seems like there's no preparation for what they're actually going to do when they get there. There's no, mental understanding of, okay, this could possibly happen to us when we get, when it does happen. How should we take it? How should I relate to you? Does it mean that it's bad? Should we start sleeping in separate beds? Or, it kind of hits people like a shovel. So what do they really need to do?
Well, really, I mean, what the problem is, the honeymoon phase ends and people don't realize, like, you actually now need to put, like, real effort into maintaining some excitement in the relationship. So you might see some relationships where, you're going out in the beginning 4 or 5 times a week, and, a year later it's like you're lucky if you go out once in a month, and that kind of takes, that kind of makes it feel like, oh, man, like, yeah, like things have gone downhill. But really, you try to, like, keep that kind of excitement by continuing to go out, continuing to do those things you did in the beginning. And that's something that a lot of couples kind of fall into that trap. They get comfortable. They stop doing the things they did in the beginning of the relationship. You stop trying as hard, and it kind of takes away from some of those things like you really did enjoy in the beginning. So for couples that are, kind of running out of that honeymoon phase and, things are seeming a little dull, you now need to make an effort to bring excitement into the relationship, whether it's through going out more, traveling, trying to create adventures for yourself. You have to try. These things don't just come on their own, and I think that's a flawed belief that people have. Like, this is just naturally going to work. Like, I just, hit cruise control, and we're in this relationship, and we're fine. We're never going to crash, And it's just not like that. You can't just hit cruise control. You need to be present. You need to be thinking about, ways that you can still, surprise your partner, bring joy to their life, enjoy outings together, enjoy, even if it's making crafts or whatever hobbies, that you might have. So, yeah, it's really like being aware that you need to really step it up and putting effort into making that relationship still feel new and exciting.
So in order to prepare for something like this, and in fact, and with all the points that we mentioned in this conversation, how many of those points are touched upon in the book?
I've talked about several of these. Yeah, I've touched on several of these in the book because we've really addressed a lot of common belief systems that keep women single. But I definitely have a lot more in the book too. So,
so now, if folks, they can actually go to the website, I guess, and order it from the website, or you said it's basically in all at Amazon and what's the other one? What's the other online retailer? They can get it in most places, right? Barnes and Noble.
Right. You can get it in most places online. You can also get it through my website, yourdeesimone.com. You can also Google Dee Simone, Picking Up the Pieces, and you can find the right outlet for yourself to order the book.
Excellent. And, of course, it's the same information. If they want to get a hold of you, just ask your question, Dee, or if they're trying to, I really liked her. She said some great stuff. How can I get a hold of her? Same information.
You can get a hold of me by, going to my website, yourdeesimone.com. You can also send me an email to yourdeesimone@gmail.com, or you can even contact me through my dating advice blog, Dee's Dating Diary, and that's deesdatingdiary.com.
All right, perfect, excellent. And, of course, we'll be promoting everything you do on our website and on our social media. So, yes, people can get more Dee Simone. You really brought a lot of energy to these points and made me think about stuff that, I wasn't even planning on talking about. So it's been a real pleasure having you here. And I just want to, get your final word on toxic belief systems. Something that you feel stands out. We may have even mentioned it already, but something that you want to, really want people to take away from this conversation.
Well, the first step in getting rid of these belief systems that keep you single or land you in bad relationships is to acknowledge them, be aware of them. Start thinking about what are your beliefs about dating, relationships, and men and women, and that's how you'll pinpoint which ones are probably not actually serving you well. And from there, it's not just enough to actually just be aware of these flawed beliefs, but you need to replace them with beliefs that are actually going to produce the results that you want in your life, right? And those are going to be positive beliefs, right? So instead of continuing to say things like all men are dogs or all men cheat, you're going to reframe that. And you're going to say, you know what? I've dated men in the past who are dogs and who have cheated on me, but there are good men out there, and I will date good men. And you start making those positive internal shifts, and before you know it, you're actually going to start seeing more positive results in your dating life and relationships.
Wow. Okay. Excellent point. What's next for Coach Dee Simone? What can we expect to see? You're going to be on Oprah, bringing out a movie?
Yes, I am going to be on Oprah. She hasn't actually reached out to me or booked me or anything like that yet.
But it's a positive belief system. It's a positive belief system, right?
I'm secreting it into my life.
Like the book is taking up your time right now. So like you're in a proper push phase in getting the book out to more people, or is there more books that we can see from you in the future?
I definitely see myself possibly writing another book, but for now I am staying focused on, this book. It hasn't even been a full year yet, so I definitely am giving myself a little break from writing at the moment. But right now I'm just continuing my book tour and continuing to do book festivals and book fairs and connecting with women at women's empowerment events. I'm also still, heavily doing the dating and life coaching. If you're interested in dating coaching, you can also contact me through my website for that, yourdeesimone.com. And right now I'm just focused on empowering as many women as possible, and I'm just excited for, everything that's going to come.
Good deal. Excellent. And, of course, me and you have spoken already, and, trying to do so much, of course, nationally, but, we're based here in Atlanta, and Atlanta can be a date in heaven for a few and a date in hell for most. And so much work is needed down here. But a lot of people need a lot of support, a lot of broken hearts. And so my hands are full here. I need some help, Dee. I need some help. You might have to get an early ticket and come down here. We got work to do. I'm just saying. Put it out there, okay?
Yes, we're going to do this work. And, we've talked about doing some things. Maybe the next time I come on, we'll talk about, those things that are developing. But I really love talking with you, and I'm so honored that you invited me to come on. And I love the topic that you chose for today. This is a really, really strong point that affects majority of men and women out there. So I'm glad that you brought me into the fold on this.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, and we'll definitely be having you on very soon in the future. So thanks again, Coach Dee Simone. Pleasure having you. Talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks. Bye.
Source Nation, what can I say? The magnificent Coach Dee Simone. What an enthralling conversation. It went way, way deeper and better than, I always expect our conversations to go great, but Coach Simone brought a lot of perspective, a lot of things that I didn't even think about. And so I definitely came out a winner on that, and I know you definitely did too. So once again, many thanks to Coach Dee Simone, and she will be back. I know she's a bit of a fan favorite already from some of the messages we've been getting here. So excellent. We're going to do this again sometime soon. So once again, thanks to Coach Dee Simone, and don't forget to check out her site, folks, and you can catch up all of her details on our website, on the Source Nation website and social media. Okay, so in wrapping up, limiting beliefs act like brakes on our progress. Okay, they leave us acting forward but believing backward. You can take all the action you want, and in the right direction too, but anytime you make progress, the limiting belief is there to pull you back to conform to your inner negative programming. Identifying your limiting beliefs is important in the context of moving forward and taking action steps that will result in positive change that is in alignment with your life vision and also the vision you have for love. So let's get rid of those negative beliefs, okay? Let's get to recognize them, get rid of them, and replace them with something positive, eh? How about that? And also, Source Nation, don't forget, we are looking for couples still. We're putting it out there. If you know someone in a relationship, or it could be you, and you've reached a point where you're like, I don't really know about this. It was cool in the beginning, but I don't know, they're nice, but I'm not really sure where this is going. We need to talk to you, all right? Some people can be getting rid of the best thing that ever happened in their lives. And for such an important decision, we want to make sure that you are fully informed. So we have an analysis that we're doing for couples. It's free, and it's actually part of a of a web series that we are doing, where we're actually going to document this and inspire other people with the positive changes that you can make to your relationship. So definitely reach out to us at meetmytypes.com. And in fact, if you go to meetmytypes.com/lovetells, LOVETELLS, one word, that is the name of the project that we're doing. So, yeah, we'd love you to go there and sign up for the project and get some great information and advice for your relationship, okay? All right, so Source Nation, thank you so much for tuning in. But before I leave, let me thank our sponsors one more time. And they are Zulina Health, Wellness and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Renovations, Urban Grandstand Digital, Meet My Types Matchmaking, that's me, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. Also, Source Nation, to contact me, Life Purpose Coach Tem'ti. You can visit the Team MMT website at meetmytypes.com to drop a message, leave a comment, or ask a question about anything featured or that you want featured on this show. All right. You've been listening to Renaissance Relationship Therapy. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next Sunday. Love is all, and all is love. Peace.